came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He's starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, but come on fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. You sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with another new part of What If Will Was Clive Rossfield's Reincarnation. This is part 2, and like I said, I was serious about doing that of Will What Ifs. I'll maybe sure that not a lot of people are probably going to bother watching my Wistoria content, but I could give a shit. Hell, I know that my Black Clover content doesn't get as much views as well, but still, I still plan on giving it my all in all of the content I make. So let's go through that of a necessary recap. With the last part with Clive Rossfield, at the end of his life, is reincarnated into that of another world. A world where magic rules all, and reincarnated into a person by the name of Will Surfort, an orphan boy with no magic. Or rather, if it wasn't for that of his remaining powers, that of Ifrit's dominant, he would be magicless, but is instead seen as a talentless fire mage. But if it wasn't for that of his childhood friend and first love, Elfiria, being by his side and aware of that of his other true magic, to absorb magic into that of swords, maybe he has a chance to continue his dream. The dream of both of them, seeing the sunset on top of the tower as Magia Vanders, but where Elfie was already made in Magia Vander during their first year at that of Regarden Academy, Will had to work hard, train hard, and basically grow to reach the level of Magia Vander, which is easier said than done given his situation. Looked down upon, an outcast, and bullied by that of his peers. Where that of his classmates use that of wands, he uses a sword due to his experiences as Clive. And through these experiences, training in that of the dungeon, he reawakens his powers as the Dominant Ifrit, otherwise known as Mythos. And through this, with that of a deal with that of the headmistress of the academy, he now has a chance to become a Magia Vander. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? And currently now, it's been several years since Will has been in that of Regarden Academy, and now he is a sixth year, the final year of being in the academy, due to his deal with that of the headmistress Cauldron. He, through his explorations in the dungeon, and showing off that of his abilities with that of his dominant powers, he has gained at least a lot more points in that of practical training than it would normally be, allowing him at least enough credit points to at least graduate from that of, Regarden Academy, but still not enough to qualify as a candidate for a Magia Vander. And let's just say his time at the academy still hasn't improved with that of the student body. However, when you have that of Kiki, Colette, and also that of Professor Wagner, and alongside that of his new roommate, Rusty, who is a pretty clingy to Will, to be honest, but that's another time for later. Will has quite improved quite a bit. Still gloomy around that of the student body, but when he's around them, he's at least a lot more animated and has at least a lot more personality than he did before, when that of Elfie left him though. However, his time at the academy, especially with that of a certain teacher, not having any respect for him. Currently and now in one of his magical theory classes, as it's basically going over that of the basics once again, as the school professor of the class being a tall, lanky man wearing all black with that of raven black hair, with 2 strands of his hair basically going over that of the left side and right side of his right eye, as this being Professor Edward Serfence. Within, having that of a look of boredom and not even that impressiveness, saying, very good. Now then, would somebody like to come down here and give us that of a demonstration? Anyone? Or rather, within, narrowing his eyes at that of a certain student in the very back of that of the row upstairs in that of the desk, being Will Surfort. Will Surfort, as Will, looking at least a little bit more differently than he would have actually, as his hair, which was always that of a dark bluish color, now still has blue, but there's more. His hair looks closer more to that of raven black now. As he continues writing down, before realizing he's being called, as he couldn't help but sigh, saying, "Yes, Professor." Within, soon, saying, "Would you like to come down here and give us a demonstration?" Within, realizing this, as he couldn't help but narrow his eyes a little bit, saying, "Damn it, not this shit again." Within, sighing, saying, "With all due respect, sir, do I have to?" Within, everybody couldn't help but whisper, but then saying, "Sure, you do not have to, but it will be your point. You will not be gaining any points for not giving at least a little bit of a demonstration." Within, he couldn't help but sigh and saying, "Fine." After that, he soon walks down, as many people couldn't help but snicker and basically laugh, and behind that of their mouths about that of Will. Before then, the professor gives that of Will a wand. Before then, saying, "Go on now, use the proper incantations." Within, he couldn't help but at least glance at that of his professor with that of a look of annoyance and irritation. Before then saying, "Oh great flame, spring forth." As soon as he tries to channel that of a fire from the wand, before then, nothing happens. Soon, the entire class begins to erupt in that of laughters. Seeing this, Will couldn't help but grit his teeth a little bit. Before then, as Edward was about to say something, he soon tosses the wand to the side before channeling a flame in that of his right hand, slamming it down onto that of the desk, with everybody completely and utterly shocked and surprised, while some not so much and others kind of bored, as one of the students was about to use his wand to basically create a flame and send it towards that of the ore and the flammable potion, as this being Scion. However, Will, on the other hand, is not even fazed by this, as he brings back his right hand, still smoking in flames. Before then, giving a look towards his professor, but then saying, "So, are we done here? I gave you a fire and the sulfur was made. So are we done?" Within, hearing this, within saying, "Fine, go back where you sit and get out of my sight. But before you go, please pick up the wand and give it back to me." Within, hearing that, Will couldn't help but sigh. Before then, going back to that of the side and getting the wand, with people still snickering and laughing, before giving it back to that of Edward. "Here, Professor," as he offers the wand. Within, The professor takes it before then saying, "Thank you." However, with soon that of a purple spell circles, two of them begins to erupt down, before then completely engulfing that of the blazing sulfur, as then it crystallizes into that of a somewhat spiky purple crystals, within saying, "It's sloppy." Your magic conjure from your hand is basically inadequate from magic used from a wand, less control and less finite. Within, Will couldn't help but narrow his eyes, saying, "Even with that of the skills, you gain your points, but not as much as I would give you. Remember this, students. Magic is everything in this world. Magic is power. Magic is status. The greatest heroes are mages. Remember, and those who cannot understand that shouldn't even bother dreaming above their station." Then, hearing this, Will couldn't help but grit his fist before then saying, "Then those who don't have any talent at all shouldn't be lecturing." Within, after saying that, Edward saying, "What was that?" "Nothing, Professor. I'll be going back to my seat. Just carry on as you have been, you Magia Vander washout." As he says this so quietly under his breath that nobody could hear this. Within, soon, Edward can help but say, "Well then, let us continue with the lecture. Now, who would like to read from the next paragraph?" As the class goes on, with the day coming to an end, currently now, Will is outside of the class, within with that of a big sigh saying, "Man, he is one annoying ass teacher." Right, Kiki? Within, looking at his familiar, she couldn't help but basically meow in that of acceptance. With Will couldn't help but smile, before then saying, "You shouldn't be speaking of a teacher like that, especially since they have so much better talent than you." Within, hearing that, as he mentally thinks, "Speaking of trash," within, turning around, seeing the red-haired fire mage himself, Scion, and one of Will's biggest tormentors in the school. "Hello, Scion. What do you want? Shouldn't your prestigious self be more busy kicking a bunch of puppies into a river?" After saying that, the two of Scion's lackeys come up and say, "Watch yourself, you worthless laggard." Within, soon, Scion raises his hand saying, "No, it's fine, it's fine. It's not like his words mean anything after all, coming from that of a talentless hack such as him." Within, Will couldn't help but roll his eyes behind his glasses, within saying, "Will you just get to the point so we can both go our separate ways already?" Within, Scion couldn't help but grit his teeth, but still having that of a cocky-ass smile, saying, "All I'm saying is, somebody like you, with lack of talent such as you have, should know your place after all. Especially in class, since you do that of your pointless, raw, talentless magic without a wand. So I'm just saying and giving you at least a little bit of advice, laggard. Do this school a favor and basically remove yourself like Professor Edwards said." Within, soon, removing that of Scion's hand from his shoulder, before then saying, "And what did I say if I say no?" With then, Scion couldn't help but look a little bit on edge, as it almost looks like the two are about to fight in the very hallway. Before then, soon, a girl saying, "Will the two of you knock it off?" Within, Will saying, "Oh, Colette." Within, Scion can up say, "Oh, if it isn't our prestigious class rep, what do I owe the pleasure of you defending?" Within, before Scion could finish saying, "I'm going to say this as well, Scion. Will is so much more kinder, caring, and hardworking than you. Not only that, you haven't seen what he's truly capable of as well. So I refuse to allow you to slander my friend like this." Within hearing that, Will couldn't help but basically smile at that of Colette's words. Before then, looking at that of Will, saying, "And you, Will, You shouldn't let Zion's words get the better of you. If you basically act in violence like he wants you to, you're no better than him after all. But then, hearing that, both boys were basically shocked for completely different reasons. But then, Will saying, "You're right. You're absolutely right, Colette. Paul, I'm sorry. Shouldn't let him basically bait me like that." But then, soon, hearing this, Zion couldn't help but basically huff, saying, "You know what? You're right as well. I shouldn't waste any more of my precious time on such a worthless laggard." As Zion and his lackeys basically walk off, with Colette basically sticking her tongue at the three of them, with Kiki doing the same as well. As the two basically walk off, talking about the frustration with Colette having with that of Professor Edward and also Zion. As for Will, he can't help but say but get annoyed as well, but he does agree with that of Professor Edward's words. Magic does control this world, but in Will's case, it's those who properly use magic for the betterment of others, not abuse it or flaunt it, are the best people. But in all the same, thanks Colette for always having my back after all these years. But then, Colette couldn't help but say, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just, well, doing the right thing." As she couldn't help but blush. Within, soon, Will couldn't help but say, "She's really cute when she acts so flustered. But I think and honestly, if Elfie was here, she would get way too jealous and too clingy. Best to keep these thoughts to myself. But still, thanks for always having my back." As Colette still couldn't help but blush, saying, "Seriously, always being so nice to me when you don't need to be." Saying, "And you always defend me when you don't need to be. So I think we call that even." As Colette, getting even more embarrassed, basically pushes Will, even though it's harder than it seems, given that Will's a lot more taller than Colette. And another reason as well, soon, Will would say, okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop teasing. Truly, my apologies." With that, she still couldn't help but basically puff her cheeks out, but no longer embarrassed the way that she was before. Soon, Will couldn't help but look back up, especially looking at that of the tower. Within, Colette, noticing Will looking up too, saying, "What are you looking at?" "It's the tower in the sky, of course." But then she's saying, "Oh, right. That would make sense for you. You really are trying to strive to be a Magiavander, aren't you?" But then Will saying, Yeah, I am. 5 of the most powerful mages are the ones who are basically able to give us this big, beautiful sky, so they constantly protect us, no matter what." But then she can help say, "Yeah, I guess so." But then Will had to say, "But who would we be protecting them, though, while they're protecting us?" But then, hearing that, she can help but look at that of Will, having that of a serious look on his face, saying, "Who would protect her, though?" But then, she's saying, "Her? Oh, you mean..." But then, saying, "Elfie, it's my last year here at the academy. I have enough points to graduate, but still not enough to at least qualify to be a Magiavander. That's why I'll be working even harder than even before, to be there by your side, no matter what. This, I swear. Just wait for me a little bit longer." But then, Will come up and say, "Well, I'll catch you later, Colette." But then, soon, before that Will could leave, as he then noticing saying, "Will Surfort?" Before recognizing that voice, as he looks over to the right, noticing that a familiar white-haired ponytail, glasses-wearing, and green sweater-wearing professor, saying, "Oh, Professor Wagner, what do I owe the audience, Professor?" Within, he couldn't help but have that of a ticked-off look behind that of his glasses, before then saying, "You, in Kiki, my office, now." But then, soon realizing, crap, he found out I was in the dungeon this morning. But then, Colette saying, "Oh right, you were in the dungeon this morning, weren't you? I guess this is something you need to prepare for after all." But then, she's saying, "I'll catch you later, Will. Bye." Saying, "Colette, don't leave me." But then, looking back at his professor, as you could basically see an aura of pure and utter rage with that of wind flowing around him, saying, "Ah, crap." Currently at Professor Wartner's office, a blast of wind basically hits the door, saying, "You utter idiot!" As Will almost looked like he was being sent flying back before standing his ground and standing back up on all 2 feet. Before then going to his knees again, but then saying, "Seriously, Professor Wartner, you're overreacting. It's not even that much of a big problem." But then still glaring daggers at that of the young man. With then saying, "Not only you entered the dungeon without clearance, I even saw that you went to that of the 8th floor in trying to solo it yourself." With then Will saying, "Oh, you found that much out." With then internally thinking, "Hope he doesn't know that I was originally trying to hit the 9th floor, but I was already too caught up in the 8th floor. I'm aware of that you and the headmistress's deal, but at least try and be more careful. Are you really trying to get yourself killed just for points alone?" But then Will flinching, saying, I understand, but if it'll let you know, I was able to kill that of 2 guardians." You could see that of an aura of pure and utter menace and basically death coming off of Wartner. But then, Will still standing his ground, as then soon Wartner couldn't help but sigh, saying, "Well, that is true." And verifying that of the kills as well, I give you that of 4 points. But then, Will couldn't help but sigh and out of relief, saying, "Well, that was worth it." As he and Kiki do their special handshake and fist bump. But then, soon, while Wartner's basically updating that of Will's score sheet and also his own work, with then saying, "So, you still plan on being a Magiavander, am I right, Will?" Well then, Will, no longer nervous and basically timid and shy, going back to that of his serious stoicness, saying, "Is that a problem, sir? I thought you did say you wanted to support me." Saying, "I did, and I still do, but you are the head of your class when it comes to that of note-taking and studies. Add that with the deal you have with that of the headmistress as well. You're in outside of you basically going into dungeons without permission. You still have that of highest points in that of practical training. But it's magic fundamentals that is your biggest problem." Well, as he says this, he puts away that of his writing quill. But then, Will couldn't help but look to the side and out of annoyance. But then saying, "Will, I understand the reason why you keep the secret about your powers. Your dominant powers, as you call them. A secret, especially in this day and age. It may be unique and powerful forms of magic, manifesting in creation. But it doesn't use casting or basically a spell circle to do so. And I'm able to create them at will. No efforts on my behalf whatsoever. I'm able to conjure them and create them and manipulate them however I see fit without having to use a wand to do so. And the last time I checked, people respect your wand and your abilities using it than they do a blade like how I do. Hell, Professor Edward basically even made a threat that I should be removed as well." Hearing this, Wartner couldn't help but sigh, saying, "Oh, that cold-hearted bastard. I know he can be quite a handful, trust me. But I think he means well, Will. He only does it because he worries." Saying, "Well, he has a pretty unique way of showing his sense of worry, Professor." But then, Wartner could help but say, "True. However, I should also bring up the fact that the credits that you do have enough credits to graduate, but the credits that you would need to become a Magic Evander, on the other hand, is completely out of your reach. Not to mention, I found out that you failed last month's spellcasting exams after all. Just sending that of fireballs at that of your enemies isn't going to help you enough. Well then, hearing this, saying, "Oh, trust me, I am aware." Luckily, thanks to that of my dominant traits, I was able to get at least not of a complete failing grade, but at least enough to give me enough credits for the exam. But with that, you need at least that of 4 points, let more, for the exam. Saying, "Wait, 4 points? But I thought I only needed 2. I thought for sure I'd be good for this week." Technically you are, however, within realizing that's done in Professor Edwards' class. Within soon saying, "Yeah, it kind of bumped you down a little bit, so you still need 4 more points." Saying, "God, I hate that man. I feel like he makes it his entire life to make my life a living hell." Within, Warner saying, "No, he does that to all the students actually." Saying, "That's not helping. Now that I'm down only 4 credit points, there's only thing I need to do." Within, basically going to that of one of his bags before then pulling out one of his notebooks saying, "Go through my notes. I should know about there should be a monster that's worth that of 4 points in the dungeon. Come on. I know it's here. We went over this just a little while ago." Within, Warner couldn't help but smile before then saying, I'm kind of thinking out loud here and mainly out of boredom. I remember hearing about that of a 4 credit points Baskerville lurking around on the 6th floor. The professor saying that it was kind of an annoyance and yet they didn't have time to take care of it. So if anybody went down, and I heard that of a certain student didn't have time to basically take it out, so I figured within, Will couldn't help but grab that of Waltner by his shoulder saying, "Professor Waltner, you are the best. I don't know what I would do without you." Within, Warner couldn't help but blink behind his glasses, saying, "Probably be kicked out of the school by now." Within, Will couldn't help but basically have that of a frozen look and smile, saying, "Okay, that is true." But even so, within, hugging basically as the 2 glasses wearing young men basically couldn't help but hug each other, mainly on Will's point of view, saying, "Come, will you let go of me, you maniac?" Saying, Sorry, just got really emotional right there. Any rate, I should probably prepare. Thank you, Professor. Truly, you are the best." But then, hearing that saying, "Well, I do my best." However, little did they know, they were being eavesdropped on by that of a certain red-haired asshole. Later on that night, Will is able to traverse and go through that dungeon, but this time with permission, as he switches out of his school uniform attire and switches to that of his dungeon exploring attire, as it's basically black jeans with that of reinforced armor boots, a red t-shirt, under that of a, black jacket, and that of a short version of his school uniform cloak, as the outfit is mainly to be that of a small replica and homage to that of his outfit back in when he was still Clive. As Will continues walking alongside that of Kiki, saying, "This is going to be a quick night. All I need to do is just take down the Baskerville, and 4 points is all I need. Just need to remember on its stomping grounds," and wondering why it would be on that of the 6th floor though. That can come later. Right now, just finding it is more important. Within, Kiki couldn't help but narrow her eyes at that of her owner. Within, Will basically looking at Kiki, seeing that she stopped, saying, "What's that look for?" Before thinking, oh, you're worried that I might get consumed by the Baskerville's flames? Remember, Kiki, I've already taken care of it. I'm not going to be turned into a Chris like the last time after all. And besides, I am skilled over fire magic. It's not like the fire was going to burn me anyway. But then, Kiki actually having that of a more deadpan and more annoyed look on her face, as it's more of a reminder that she was the one who was burned to a crisp, not Will. Still giving that look, But then Will saying, okay, I deserve that look. But trust me, I got this. And without you, I wouldn't be able to find it. I could track it by myself, but the sooner we take care of this, the sooner we can leave. How's that sound, girl? But then, here, we getting annoyed as she couldn't help but huff, before then starting to pick up the trail of the Baskerville. While traveling through that of the sixth floor dungeon, with then deciding to take at least a good break after at least letting Kiki rest up a little bit, at getting out his rations, before tossing one to Kiki, saying, "Here, Kiki, eat up. I rather you be at 100% and me being at 100% to take care of this Baskerville." But then Kiki couldn't help but meow as she begins eating that of Will's rations, with Will about to eat his own, before then hearing that of a scream in the distance. But then realizing, who the hell else could be here? And why? But then Will saying, "Come on, Kiki," as running as fast as he can. Kiki surprisingly is able to keep up with that of Will, saying, as he tracks all of the reverberations and that of the sound, he soon arrives, and there he sees that of Scion, and in the very distance, seeing that of the two lackeys from earlier as well, with Scion using his wand to send out fireball after fireball after fireball into that of the enemy, as you would think it was a Baskerville, what Will was looking for, but instead, it was actually a high-ranking monster from the lower floors, otherwise known as an evil sentinel, as it's bulky, big, and carrying a huge, large black blade on its back, with that of a menacing tail, sharp teeth, and that of a muscular and pudgy form that makes it look demonic. With Will seeing that of Scion completely and utterly terrified and scared for his life right now, as he should realize that Scion is more powerful than this. Even an evil sentry like this would be able to handle it, given how high-ranking of a mage he is in the school, and yet he's not even bothering using his most powerful spells, even if it is a more powerful monster, and considered level 5 at that. But still, it shouldn't be able to give Scion this much of a problem, as he begins to think. He's in shock, within realizing Scion's in shock. That's why he isn't thinking rationally. He's letting his fear dictate his actions. Imbecile. As then, soon, materializing on that of his back, being that of a sword. As in normal canon, Will's sword would be that of a regular broadsword, actually, or short sword, depending on who you ask. But instead, it's not. As this one being that of a long sword, almost close to that of a great sword, but still wieldy enough to be used one-handed, as the metal begins to gleam off of the blade as he unsheaths it. But then, soon, he begins to think, but wait, why should I bother saving Scion? I mean, all he's done is basically make my life a living hell. All he's done is torment me, belittle me, treat me like crap just like everybody else, but he is the damn worst. So yet, why should I? As Scion continues screaming, saying, "Stay back! Stay away from me!" As the evil sentry was about to slam his blade down onto Scion, that's when, in that of blinding speed, with flames coating that of the long sword, Will parries the blade, before then sending that of a powerful charged fireball towards that of the sentry, sending it flying backwards, but still standing on its feet. With then, seeing this, Scion could up and say, "What the laggard? How is he? Wait, is that a sword? But it's not a sword I've seen him use before." As Scion remember all those years ago when Will used to carry around that of a short sword and a regular sword. But this sword, on the other hand, is completely different, as it looks like it's truly made for combat. But then, soon, Will not even giving Scion that of a second look, as he soon prepares his flames even more. Within, Scion, without warning, just spoke up saying, "The hell you think you're doing, laggard? If my fire magic couldn't even touch it, then what does it think that yours could?" Within, like I said before, not even giving Scion a second look, he rushes towards that of the evil sentry. However, his flames not engulf. Instead of just engulfing his left hand, it soon engulfs his entire body, as he uses that of the flaming wings of the phoenix to fly towards that of the sentry. With Scion seeing this, completely and utterly shocked. Within, the sentry tries to slam his sword down onto that of Will. However, he dodges out of the way, using that of his sword to parry the blade once again, before then using one of his flaming wings to send that of a burst of flames down onto it, as the pillar of flames engulfs it, burning its entire right side, as it rails in that of pain and agony, but still holding on strong to his black blade. As soon, Will floating up into the air saying, "Sturdy bastard, it seems. Flames alone won't be enough to take him down." Within, Will couldn't help but smirk, saying, "Then I better give it my all then." As he flies back to that of the evil sentry, with the sentry and Will having that of a clash of blades. However, little did they know, they were being watched, and not just by anybody, but by that of Professor Wertner and also Professor Edward, thanks to Kiki keeping an eye on Will. However, not just by that of, the two professors, but the headmistress as well, saying, "Now then, give me quite a bit of a show, young Sorfert." As Will and the evil sentry continue to clash blades, with Will basically cutting off that of the sentry's right hand index finger, with then the sentry, as that of the purple blood of the sentry falls to the ground. Within, it roars in that of pain as it tries to swing with that of a powerful swing that cracks over the ground. Within, Will dodging that, before then sending that of a burst of flaming wings towards it, as that of the spinning flames consume the blade, as it heats itself. However, the sentry doesn't even care. Before then, Will begins to rush towards it once more. Before then, switching from that of the Phoenix's wings to that of the Garuda's claws, as that of two massive green wing-like claws grab the sentry's head. Within, launching that of Will even further into that of sentry, as he, with that of both his feet, kicks it straight forward into that of its forehead in tempo, as blood begins to spew from that of the impact. As soon, Will basically backflips off of its face, with alongside that of the claws, as it soon as the claws are now floating around that of Will, before then sending that of waves after waves of claw-like wind attacks towards that of the sentry, as its blood begins to spill all across it, over and over and over again. Within, as Scion, on the other hand, still seeing this, can help but say, How is this possible? Not only he's using a damn sword, what kind of power is that? I thought he could only use that of fire magic. And not to mention, those wings. Those wings are just more than just mere fire magic. It was pure fire conjurations. Physical objects completely composed of fire and magic. And not that. He could even use wind magic and those wind claws. What the hell is he? Within, finishing his barrages of claw strikes, as the sentry, looking completely and utterly battered and bruised by that of the claws, as wounds continue to brittle his body. Back with that of the two professors, as Edward can help say, "Impossible. How is this even possible?" Within, Wertner saying, "It's true, Will is an outlier, truly beyond the sort. However, Where he lacks in that of using magic and incantations in the normal way, he makes up for it in another, a unique power and ability tied to him and him alone. With then, Edward couldn't help but be completely utterly shocked while still looking at that of the crystal ball from that of Kiki's, overseeing of him, as the headmistress couldn't help but smile even more. As the battle continues to rage on, with Will rushing towards that of the sentry once more, the sentry, battered and bruised, still has some fight left into it. As then, it rushes towards Will again before bringing down its sword once more. However, into Will's eyes, a gleam begins to show, saying, "Same move once again? I read your patterns now." As then, he switches from Garuda to Titan, with then creating that of his Earth Gauntlet Fist. And with that of just with one arm, he blocks the attack. Before then, as he soon conjures that of a bigger fist, before it begins to spin, and then drills it into that of the sentry's chest, as he roars in that of full-on strength, sending it flying. At the same time, it lets go of its massive single-edged black blade. At that time, he creates another gauntlet fist and then grabs it. Before then saying, "This should be a little fun. Let's do this." As bringing the gauntlet towards his open hands, putting that of his longsword on his back once more. Before then, bringing his sword back, spreading his legs apart into that of certain angles. Before then, an aura begins to consume around that of Will, before switching from that of Titan to Shiva, as that of the Ice Veil cloak wraps around him like all those years ago, back when he and Elfie found out about his wife's magic. And that of blinding speed added with that of Shiva's ice to basically slide him forward as that of a long trail of ice, sliding him forward, increasing his momentum. At the same time, the sentry also sends that of a pure blast of dark magic from its mouth to try and stop Will. However, Will not even fazed by this, as he soon, with one solitary slash so fast that the naked eye couldn't see, he cuts right through that of the attack and the evil sentry. Within, seeing this, Edward saying, "Impossible," as then Wertner continues saying, "I'm not entirely sure what Will's abilities truly is. However, Will himself calls these powers in him a dominant, or as I like to categorize, a maged warrior." With the aftermath of the battle coming to an end, with the evil sentry vanquished and killed, in that as its body is completely all over the place. With Will taking off that of his goggles, putting them on that of his around his neck, heading to that of Scion, as instead of offering a hand, he couldn't help but basically grab him by that of his collar, before then slamming him to the wall, saying, "You really got some nerve coming down here. I'm guessing you didn't even ask that of the teachers for permission to come down here. Seriously, Scion, for somebody who says he's better than me, you should learn better from my mistakes." Within, being lectured by the one person he looks down upon and hates the most, within, without getting even out of a word in, Will basically shoves him back, saying, "You should probably go and get your little lackeys. As for me, taking down that evil sentry bumps me up a little further even more. So I think I got enough points that I need to pass for this week. So, I'll catch you later. Have a nice night, Scion." With that, Will soon walks off, alongside that of Kiki. As for Scion, he couldn't help but grit his teeth and had a pure hatred, annoyance, and that of sadness as well, as he was saved by the one person he basically looked down upon, the one person that he despised so much. And yet, his mind kept on racing about the powers and abilities of the icons. As one word basically kept on spinning in his head. Just who the hell are you, Will Surfort? With that of Edward and Wagner saying, that boy, after all this time, why doesn't he show this power? Within, soon, Wagner saying, I think it's mainly because he's worried that saying, such arrogance. Somebody like him truly doesn't deserve to be at this institution. Within, Wagner saying, well, Professor Edward, before he could finish, the black-haired teacher basically slams the door, leaving, saying, oh boy, and I thought showing him would make things a lot more easier. Before then, closing that to the crystal ball. Later on that morning, Will soon arrives in that of Wagner's office, with Wagner still having the aura of pure utter death, with that of wind magic completely consuming him, as Will on the knees saying, come on, Professor, please don't give me that look. I tried. Before sighing and saying, for defeating an evil sentry on the 6th floor, I dispose you, Will Surfort, 10 credit points. Within, hearing this, Will couldn't help but jump up saying, all right, I did it. As Kiki also jumped into that of Will's arms saying, we did it, Kiki. We get to still stay here. Within, Kiki couldn't help but meowing out of enjoyment too. Within saying, even though you had enough credits to graduate for this year, and after you leave the academy, you truly are dead set on what you need to do, aren't you? Saying, like I told you, Professor, she's waiting for me. No way I'm going to keep her waiting any longer. With that, Will and Kiki soon leave. Within, Wagner saying, young love, how complex and simple it is. And now, with all this behind him, Will is now continue being safe in the academy from this forward on. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. I'm really enjoying keep on doing this What If series. You guys, honestly, have at least broadening my horizons outside of MHA, and Black Clover is starting to do well for my self-esteem on the channel. Even if I don't get a lot of views or a lot of new viewers, I'm still enjoying what I'm doing after all. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification key to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, other channel, side channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All link in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys. Hope you all take care. Finish it off, my Shiro.
Hi, everyone. This is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!